People who work for airlines, what are secrets passengers don't know? Flight attendants, pilots, or engineers, what are secrets that passengers don't know when you ride on planes or things you can get for free from the cabin or crew? Edit. Reading some of these responses made me regret making this post, especially since I am flying soon. Aerospace fastener production here. Nobody ever asks what is actually holding the plane together. Don't worry about it. Went skydiving once and the plane wings had duct tape and electrical tape everywhere. Inside holding the upholstery on too. The pilot was pretty cool, we were chatting about it later. After we got in the air he saw a lot of people pointing to the tape and made an announcement over the headphones? That he's the only one allowed to worry about the duct tape because he's the only one without a parachute. Fun fact, the plane crashed a few weeks later and there were some fatalities. Women, if you pack a toy in your bag, take the batteries out. Because if I'm loading your bag, and I hear it vibrating I have to tell my lead. Then my lead has to come pull you off the aircraft and you have to open your bag and turn off your toy in front of a bunch of giggling grown men. When a plane is landing at night, they dim the interior lights in case you need to evacuate upon landing. Your eyes are already adjusted to the darkness so you'll be able to see better once outside the plane. My dad's been an airline pilot for almost 20 years, and apparently planes get struck by lightning all the time. Also if a passenger is causing a scene in the jetway he can refuse to let them on and take off without them. The tail rotor diameter of a Robinson R-22 helicopter is 3 feet 6 inches. This is because that was as wide as Frank Robinson's kitchen oven would go, where he had to bake the first rotor. It hasn't been changed. I was a ramp agent for Delta. A lot of freight gets shipped on commercial flights. One of these items were always called HR on the radios. HR was an abbreviation for human remains. Some people die far away from where they want to get buried. They're packed in wood-framed boxes, so you would never know what was inside except by the strange shape of them. They were to handle. People wait a bit. Add a casket and shipping container and you're looking at anywhere from 250 to 400 pounds. Also, the bin doors tend to be pretty narrow. Wrestling these things out of the plane was always a giant pain in the HR in the middle bin of a Mad Dog, MD-90, that. TL, doctor, if you hear about an HR while flying Delta, it means there's a dead body in cargo. Edit, MD-90. It's been a while. I did the same job. Had one that was huge one time. Took 3 of us cramped in the bin to get him situated. More unsettling are the ones that only one of us were needed. Usually infants. Once we had one that we'd heard had just been exhumed. It was a small one, and had been dead for 25 years and was on its way to be reburied somewhere else. I think about that a lot and it was 10 years ago. I wish I knew more of that story. Basically, most systems are redundant. Radio is out? Cool, you have another one. Depending on the aircraft and flight characteristics, radar doesn't even have to work. I doubt that any airline could put one in the air without radar, but it's possible in some cases. We used to let planes fly without non-essential instrumentation or secondary nav systems all the time. One of the rudder's primary purposes, and why it needs to be so big and what drives the max deflection requirements, is to counter the torque when you are only flying with one engine. They are also designed to be stable, that is, they want to stay in level flight. A typical small regional AC will have 4 independent air data probe systems, and at least 3 redundant ears as well, all designed to be as isolated as possible from power outages. Some airlines don't pay pilots or flight attendants for flights that cancel. Which doesn't sound so bad until you start thinking about the safety implications of it. A little short in the rent this month? Then I don't see that hydraulic leak, I can't afford to have the flight cancel. Child needs to see the doctor? Maybe I don't report the torn up carpet that you might trip on in an evacuation, because carpet takes too long to replace so the flight would cancel. Not saying this happens all the time, because most crews are true professionals and can put their job ahead of their paycheck, but it happens enough to give you the goosebumps. Throw in some seriously low pay, sub $20,000 a year for many first-year pilots, and you've got a subtle incentive to overlook safety issues. Posted this in a similar thread a while back. I have a friend who's a commercial pilot. Around 5 years ago he was doing a flight from LA to Tokyo when an anonymous caller phoned in a bomb threat while they were over the middle of the Pacific. Apparently they have procedures for this kind of thing, but there was nothing anyone could do in this situation except stay calm and not alert the passengers, obviously. He said for the rest of the flight every bump of turbulence made his adrenaline spike. They took this case especially seriously because there was a group of foreign dignitaries sitting in the first-class cabin. My sister is a flight attendant, she says after she tells everyone to turn off all electronics. She goes to the back and pulls out her phone and starts texting.